Yes, it is. What's up, Sports Talk Diva Nation? I'm telling you, yes, it is Heels Off, Game On. Welcome to this episode. I've got lots to say, so let's get into it. I want to talk a little bit about college football and what happened this past weekend. Of course, we know that we are deep into the bowl season, so there's a lot going on. There's some good games that will be happening this weekend. I've already laid out the 12 playoff teams, and you got those teams that are waiting, that have byes, that are waiting for some of the games that will be played this weekend. But I wanted to talk a little bit about the Heisman race. It was very interesting. The four that were there were Fernando Mendoza, Diego Pavia, Jeremiah Love, and Julian Sand. Now, there probably was a time not too long ago that I actually thought that Julian Sand was going to win it. Just saying. But it did go very deservingly to Fernando Mendoza. Okay. He won it, was happy for that young man. A real class act and a real talent. He has taken that team to undefeated season. They won the Big Ten championship. And I think when they won that Big Ten championship game, that's when I knew. I said, oh, it's his. That trophy is going to be his. But there was somebody else there that did not like that. And that was the runner-up, Diego Pavia. Sore loser. You know what? You said what you said, and you need to own it, okay? He came out later with an apology, but you know what? You said what you said. So I thought was disrespectful to Mendoza, because Mendoza did deserve it. But, if you haven't heard, one of the things that Pavia said was F the voters, okay? He was in a club and, said F the voters. Really, Pavia? That's not a good look, okay? And especially, you're looking to play on that next level, which to me, in my opinion, it is just my opinion, he is not a first round pick, not a second round pick. He may very well be a fifth round pick or an undrafted free agent. That's the way I see Pavia. Now, yeah, I could be wrong, but like I said, it's my opinion. He has done some great things with Vanderbilt. Look at what they did this year. And, I think he's played very well. Will that transition into the NFL? I don't know. It doesn't always for all the players that go from college to the NFL. And, the guy's character and some of the buffoonery that this guy walks around with, it just reminds me of Johnny Mansell. And we all know how that turned out. But, dude was striking a Heisman pose, in a lot of the games. And, that's fine. Travis Hunter did the same thing last year. Travis Hunter had a right to. He was definitely by far the best player in college football last year. So he was striking poses every time he scored. Like I said, rightfully so. And he won it. But Pavia, no. Once again, have some humility. Carry yourself with some class. And, your character means a lot. So it's not just about, how many touchdowns you can throw, how many yards you can rush and you can get, touchdowns or whatever the case may be, how many Heisman poses you strike, but your character. And you showed a lot about that character with that tweet, which, by the way, yes, you did issue an apology. It looked like it was a Chat GPT apology. So I don't know if Chat GPT did that for you or who did it, but somebody in your camp obviously said, hey, you need to retract that. You need to come out and make an apology. But your first statement was how you really felt. So, Diego, don't disrespect Fernando Mendoza like that, because he definitely deserved it. And Mendoza, you carried yourself with a lot of class, had a great speech. And hey, I hope you guys make a run and do something that you guys haven't done and win a national championship. But anyway, that is my take on college football and the Heisman. Now to the NFL. The NFL had some exciting games over the weekend. Of course, there was some studs and some duds, some guys who sit out and some guys that just did not shine at all. Some of the guys that stood out to me were C.J. Stroud. Houston Texans are a very dangerous team, and the reason why they're not being talked about a whole lot. You're hearing the things on the Patriots, the Bills, the Broncos. Telling you, those Texans, they can make a run. And the reason why I say that is because I like their defense. They've got the number one defense in the NFL. C.J. Stroud is back. C.J. threw for over 260 yards, 3 touchdowns. And, of course, it was over the Cardinals, but he did his thing. That defense is something to be reckoned with. So I'd like the Texans to do some things as these playoffs, come about. The other person and, the stud that I thought performed was Caleb Williams. Caleb has come a long way since Ben Johnson has been at the helm. Caleb threw for over 250 yards, had 2 touchdowns in a blowout over the Cleveland Browns, 31-3. Even with the great Myles Garrett, and of course, he's always going to get his sacks. He is actually, I think, maybe 1 or 2 sacks away from breaking a record. So, kudos to Myles, because you are that dude, and he knows it. And I've talked about him before, and yeah, he's definitely a stud. But on the losing end. And then there's Justin Herbert. I mean, Justin is playing with, he had a broken hand. So he's out there and he is doing his thing. I mean, it was only 16 points. They beat the Chiefs 16-13, but they're hanging in there trying to make that playoff run, and subsequently they knocked the Chiefs out of the playoffs. So Justin Herbert, great job. Now, for the duds, the guys that just did not shine, didn't do too much of anything. No, let me go back to my studs, because I am forgetting about my fellow Clemson Tiger. That is my team. And Trevor Lawrence, you did the darn thing over the weekend, okay? Set a NFL record with over 300 and some yards passing, I believe maybe 50 yards running, and 1 touchdown or so. I don't have all the stats in front of me, but you can look it up. It was, and this was the NFL record for one game. Like in one game, he had the stats that he had. Now, one may say, yes, it was against the Jets. Okay, that's fine. I'll take that. But they still put up 48 points. I don't care who it's against. The Jets are still a team. So you know what? Kudos to the Jaguars. They can make a little run as well. But my boy, Trevor Lawrence, you were my number 1 stud in the NFL this past weekend. Now for the duds, I don't have a whole lot written down on the duds. I mean, there's Brady Cook. I'm not even familiar with Brady Cook. I mean, he is a rookie. You can look him up. But he was a dud this past weekend. The Giants, the whole Giants team, I mean, they had their 8th straight loss. So you know what, Giants? You all were duds. And then, of course, the Chiefs, with their offensive struggles, it was pretty tough. So the Chiefs, y'all were duds. And like I said, subsequently did not make the playoffs, will not make the playoffs for this year. But there are a bunch of games on this Christmas, this coming Christmas, on Christmas Day. So I will be looking forward to watching some of these teams on Christmas Day. On Netflix, you got the Cowboys and the Commanders. That's a 1 o'clock game. And then you got the Lions and the Vikings. That's a 4:30 game, and those games are on Netflix. Halftime performance will be by Snoop D-O-double-G. So he will be performing halftime of the Lions and the Vikings game. Well, guys, stay tuned for more highlights, lowlights, whatever the case may be. And be, keeping up with some of the bowl games upcoming, and then also the playoffs, which will, start looking for Alabama, Oklahoma on Friday. So we'll do a recap on some of the bowl games as well as the playoff games. But anyway, guys, Merry Christmas and be blessed. Bye-bye.